Taylor versus Catterall 2. To discuss this with myself and Gareth A. Davies here on Fight Night, the main man from Top Rank, very kindly joining us on this fantastic Saturday evening here in the UK, Todd Duboef, giving up a bit of time to come and join us. Todd, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
Good. How you guys doing?
Very well indeed. Very well indeed. Obviously, happy to hear of this fight being confirmed this week, that Taylor Catterall 2 is back on April 27th, as I said a moment or two ago. From your point of view, Todd, obviously heavily involved in Josh Taylor's career, why do you believe it's taken 2 years to get the rematch back on?
Well, I don't know that it's the length of time that's the issue. I think that there were mandatories, there were a bunch of different options, that there were contractual issues that Catterall had. He had been with a number of different promoters in the meantime. So I don't think that the time is the issue. I think the issue is, more importantly, that they're fighting each other. And I think I look at it from a different perspective. I think both guys wanted the fight. Obviously Josh wanted to fight Teofimo. There were other things out there that were kind of in place, and I think more importantly, we're getting to see the fight. And I don't think that I know in your country it was highly disputed, and people felt that Jack won the fight or how it was called. I was personally at the fight. I thought it to be very close. Could have seen it gone either way. I've seen way worse decisions, but that's not for me to opine on. But the fight's happening, so let's go.
Todd, one of the things that's being discussed, thank you for joining us tonight, obviously. One of the things being discussed tonight,
can I just say one thing? I listened to your last segment. I wanted to jump in there so much.
Go on, jump straight in.
And you left me with this Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor fight only. You give me one.
Come on, jump in on the heavies. Jump in on the heavies.
No. We're gonna. You go ahead.
No. We are not moving on.
I'm not gonna interrupt. Adam,
listen,
but I'll
I'm gonna have to arm wrestle. We're gonna have to arm wrestle this. Have you been riding a pony this morning? Because you look like you're dressed like a jockey, by the way. But you've probably been cycling with Lance Armstrong.
By the way, I was knee deep in powder in the mountains of Aspen, and came off the mountain just to talk to you guys. So it was a beautiful snowy day here.
Right, listen.
Go ahead, Gareth. Hit me with your question.
No, I'm having.
And then we're going to jump into my subjects.
I'm going Latinate again. I'm going to have a moratorium on talking about Catterall and Taylor until you tell me what you were burning to talk about when you were listening to that first section. Please tell us.
I had a bunch of things. I wanted to jump in on a bunch of stuff. I mean, from the injuries, which is, I think, in line with, postponements are very much a part of our business, as it is UFC, as we see. I mean, Stipe and John Jones has now been postponed, I think, which was the biggest heavyweight fight that they could have, and it's going to be postponed 10 months.
Correct.
Or 8 months by the end of it. So I think this is combat sport, and we have to accept that. And it's the wonders of it, the beauty of it, which makes each match so unique. But you also have the pitfalls of accidental things happening. But at least the fight's going to happen. So that was one of the things I wanted to discuss. And I think the titles conversation would be a wonderful conversation to have at some point.
Brilliant. All right then. So I'll get back to the original point. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like I'm going around in circles. But what I'll say is this. Josh has said to me privately, publicly, over and over again that 10 stone, 140 pounds is a difficult push for him. Why has he insisted, do you think, on doing it at 10 stone? Is that to get him sharp, to get him enlivened, rather than going to 145 or a 147?
I can't speak, it's really hard. I'm not the trainer. I'm not his advisor. I'm the promoter, right? And I'm not his nutritionist. I'm not his physical therapist. I'm not his mental therapist, right? So what he was determined about, and which I really believe is the case, and this is where the greatness of the body of work of an athlete who really wants to be at the highest level, when they see themselves stub their toe at some point, and they're responsible for it, right? He owns the fact that he let Catterall into that fight, which he felt he should have never done. He didn't prepare correctly. He felt he wasn't on point. All those things. I think he wants to prove something. And that's greatness. That's somebody wanting to get back to that point where they were, I want to prove something. And I think that's what the issue is. I think he wants to prove something. I don't think he wants to have any excuses when he gets in the ring against him.
I think that final point that you make there, Todd, is where I'm at. I kind of like the attitude of Josh Taylor doing it at 140. I think many fight fans have concluded that he was probably going to leave this division and maybe head towards 147. So I think they were thinking that maybe there's going to be a catch weight or something like that. But if he goes in there and he does Josh Taylor things and he wins the fight against Jack Catterall at 144 or 145, fans are always going to come back to him and say, yeah, but you didn't do it at 140, did you? You've done it in a catch weight.
But
so I kind of like him.
Yeah, but what worries me, guys,
pushing.
But when I was in New York with him, I was working with you there, Todd, in New York, Teofimo Lopez fight. It was an amazing night. Josh said over and over again he didn't have the legs at 140, and that worries me for him.
But he knows his body.
Maybe. Listen, you're not taking. What I don't think we're doing is we're actually we're not the athlete and we're not reflecting, right? And it's not fair for us to sit on the sideline and posture and hypothesize about his mental and physical well-being at the weight, right? I think he wants to put an end to this Catterall chapter,
a feud
in his mind.
Yeah.
It's a chapter. It was, in golf you get a mulligan, in boxing you don't, right? So let's just be honest. You're right. You don't get a mulligan. There's not two off the tee.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to remember the slice out of bounds. All right? He does not. I think that moment, that fight has made an indelible mark on him and his body of work. And this is his way to erase it.
I think that's a very I think that's a very valid point.
Very well put.
Just finally, before we let you go, Todd, obviously one's from Scotland, one's from the northwest of England. Leeds is the destination here. Is it just basically a case of let's do this on neutral territory? Is that why we've gone to Leeds for the fight?
Yes. I mean, I think it's there's a lot of emotion in this one. There's a lot of personal stuff. There was a lot of, fans taking sides, people taking sides, announcers, broadcasters, everybody having a voice on this. And I think what they wanted to do is try to find, for both athletes, the purest possible template that didn't have one favor over another favor, one advantage over the other advantage. And I think that hits to the 140 too. And no excuses, no hometown, nothing. And, so listen, we're thrilled to bring this to life. Obviously it's going to be on DAZN in the UK, and in the United States, it'll be on ESPN and, in US and Canada. So we're really excited to bring this as, part of an incredible streak we have from April 27th with Taylor and Catterall to Inoue, Neary on the 6th, to Kambosos and Lomachenko the 11th, and then finish up with Fury and Usyk on the 18th. I mean, it's an amazing run.
That's an amazing run. That's some air miles.
That is an amazing run. And by the way, I'm going to go see the Rolling Stones in between there too, somewhere. They're coming to Vegas.
Amazing.
You've got it going on.
But I'm just saying though, it's, I think that I love, we've had a lot of issues and we talk about this a lot, rematch clauses, comeback fights, all that nonsense that I don't think should exist. I think this is down to prize fighting, and you guys hit on that before. Give the people what they want. The people wanted to see this rematch. I think the fighters wanted it. I think there was a lot of unanswered, it was just incomplete. And I think one of them want to knock the other guy out and just make a definitive statement. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them gets knocked out. I think this is one of those moments. And I like that these guys and these teams have come together to make the match for their body of work.
I agree. Listen, Todd, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time to preview that. Taylor Catterall coming up April 27th, Leeds. Like we've said, it's at £140. It's an absolute cracking fight.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.